And so as we look at this on tonight, I want to really deal with now, there's a cost to inaction. There's a cost to not doing something. There's a cost of wanting to do stuff, but not actually fulfilling or following through with that. And we're gonna cover a few things. I'm gonna do a lot of questions tonight, a lot of question and feedback. I want to do some definitely conversation on this. I looked at it, and it's been really something that's been driving me as I'm dealing with a lot of my other clients. Is they're more focused on the wait and let's see how things work out than it is actually to go and just do something. It's like the market right now. It's like, well, do I buy? Don't I buy? When do I buy? It's like investing. Do I invest? Do I not invest? What do I do? And before you know it, it gets to a point to where there's a stall. And to try to time anything now, you might be in a bad place. You might want to go ahead and just jump in because ultimately it's going to be what it is. So as we always do, guys, those that will be watching later, take some notes, get somewhere that we can actually sit down and actually go through this. I am going to be asking a lot of questions. So feel free, those that are watching live and those that are going to be tuning in later, to shoot me questions or thoughts that you have. I would love to chop it up on the discussion on tonight, because I think it's going to be a real discussion that really needs to be had. And hopefully it encourages you and empowers you to start actually doing something in the direction that you've been gifted to do. Okay. Now, camera on, of course, if you can. Those of you that are watching, I know Dr. Kat is eating her lunch, dinner. So I appreciate her hanging out with us tonight, Delshana. Comments in the chat, definitely. You guys are gonna open up my chat on tonight. So do me a favor, those that are live, go ahead and open up. Tell me what you do, name, and of course, that's going to be in the recording and your business. And that'll be awesome. And of course, only unmute when you're called upon. Now, I do want to deal with this week's wins. And you know me, I want to find out what good happened this week. A lot of times we focus on what didn't go right, but the key is what did go right and how did that work for you and for your business on this week. So I'll start real quick, Delshana, tag you're it. Win, give me a good week's win this week. What happened this week that was just like, that was good?
I wasn't paying attention to my week, but that is good. I got 2 people signed up for my paid flag making class on Saturday. So money, money, money. It's making money and it's making sense.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, that's definitely a big win. That's as they would say back where I'm from, a big A man right there. Because we if it don't make dollars, it don't show enough don't make sense. All right, thank you for sharing that tonight, Dr. Kathy. Give me a win. Give me a good. Where you at? I know you're at one of them big steak houses because that's how you get down, man. Uh-oh, she's muted. Uh-oh, she's unmuting. She's looking for the button. She's saying to herself, oh, I'm on mute. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. That is hilarious. Oh my goodness. Let's see. We'll come back. We'll come back. Well, definitely, I'm excited. Delshana, thank you so much for sharing. It's good to know that what you're doing is making money. That's what makes the difference. Key is, of course, keep on pushing forward. We don't get these big numbers working for us. Business spotlight. On tonight, I want to actually spotlight one of my, she say, oh, it doesn't have any voice, sound to it. No worries, no worries. Big business spotlight. Actually, tonight, I'm actually supposed to be at one of my wonderful people. She's actually running for judge. Her name is Mari Parlayed. And actually, she has an event tonight that actually I was supposed to be at, but I wanted to be with you guys on tonight. And so I'm hanging out with you. She is actually running for district judge number 7. So if you're in that district, I would love, love, love for you to definitely consider her. She is a wonderful, powerful, gifted woman of God, if I can say that. And she is doing some great things in the community. And we are looking forward to seeing her take position, because I heard this one thing somewhere. It says, when the righteous are in charge, the city rejoices. So I'm excited about the rejoicing of what's going on and everything and she's doing. So if you can, I'm definitely going to send out some information on her. She's actually having a big thing tonight. I sent a fat check only because I believe that when you really believe in something, you support it. And so we're supporting her. And I thought I had a picture, but I guess I didn't put it on my screen like I wanted to, but that's okay. We'll come back to it another time. All right, so let's dive into tonight. Cost of doing nothing. Okay, I know you've heard of ROI, which is return of investment. And that's always something we know about. But what about when you have COI, cost of inact, cost of not doing something or doing nothing? I mean, if you really look at your life and the things that you said you would do that you haven't done, how much does that really cost you? I mean, how many lives are different because you didn't fulfill or do that which you set out to do? Most people I know can start, but a lot of people don't actually finish. They jump to many different things and leave the one thing undone. Now, when you look at your life, how many things have you set up to do or set out to do that you stopped or hindered or just flat out quit? So when you look at it, now it's costing you something. It's even costing the people that you're around. It's costing you, I believe, it costs you lost opportunity. In other words, there's so much opportunity that could have been yours, but because you made a step not to make a step, because I don't know if you figured this out yet, but to not make a decision is actually to make one. And so when you don't, and a lot of people tell me, well, I can't decide. Yeah, you actually decide. You decided by not deciding. You decided by not going in a direction, because when you stop moving forward, that means now either A, somebody else has to pick up the plate or the ball, or two, the ball is completely dropped. And the key is, I always mention this to my people, lives are being lost while we're trying to figure out what we're trying to do. And a lot of times people are literally messed up because we're not the ones in position of power or authority to actually help people get jobs, to help employ people, to put people in the right place. Some of you that are on this Zoom, you actually are looking to employ ex-felons and people of that nature. Just imagine if you don't do this, then that means that those people that need your help won't actually get it. And that's a lost opportunity cost for the people that are out there that you're looking to help. You know, a lot of people I deal with and work with, they're more so concerned about other people than they are their own selves. And the sad thing is, when you really take a step back, when you don't do what you set out to do, then you're really now more focused on how you are than you are the people you're looking to help. So it's almost like now we flip the script and say, well, I really want to help people, but the question is, how bad do you want to help them? Do you want to help them bad enough to actually put who you are, what you are, your fear, your doubt, all those things aside to actually move forward in a thing, but also to stick in that thing long enough to see real results? Most people that we're dealing with, they're not seeing the results they want, because I call it the grasshopper syndrome. We jump from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. And the good news is it may be working, but is it working according to what you really want to happen in your life? Because it's the difference between getting a drizzle than it is getting a right out downpour. And a lot of times in business, people are getting drizzles, but they're not really getting the downpour they're after. Maybe it's because you're being active in an area that's easier and inactive in an area that really is a little bit more difficult, but can be more productive, and you can make more money. I hate to tell you this, but where there's more, the value really comes in when you're solving bigger problems. Some people just aren't solving big enough problems. The problems you're solving are good, but they're not big enough to garner the amount of income that you choose to have or have wanted to have in your life. Okay. Next thing is finding out now reasons why you make it to where it won't work. A lot of people I talk to, it's like, well, it won't work because, and they go through this long list of reasons why it won't work. I always challenge that, because the first thing you come up with normally is why it won't work. But I want to challenge you with, what if it does work? In other words, what if what you've been put in your head or your mind to do, and you start actually functioning that thing and it started working? Who would be blessed because of what you're doing? Who would win? Who would lose? Who would be in a better position because you actually went out and did this thing in spite of how you felt or how you feel? Because a lot of this stuff, guys, that we deal with, especially in business, is more emotional than it is physical. It's more mental. You know, some people say, well, I don't know what's harder, mental work or physical labor. It's a tough call right there. Because when you look at it, sometimes that mental can be so draining. I know for me, some days I go home and I'm totally white and I didn't lift nothing. But because mentally the drain is there to maintain, to keep going forward, and to push past the pain. I mean, imagine coming back from vacation and right on your desk is a lawsuit. Do you stop there, or do you push that to the side and focus on what actually needs to be accomplished for that day? And the beautiful thing is, once you secured yourself enough, there are things that are going to happen no matter what. I have a trucking company. One of my guys, they actually end up having to reinvent themselves within the company. And it was either go forward or completely quit. And so after we talked it out, it was decided to keep going forward, but just having to readjust what we're trying to do. So I always say, what's the worst that can happen? If you really think about what you're trying to accomplish, if it don't work, what's the worst can happen? And I know some people are like, well, I can lose my house, I can lose this, I can lose that. Da, da. I think those are when you go to extremes. The one thing you got to think about in your life, depending on where you're at, and also too, of course, in your own faith and what you believe in, but you have to believe, I believe personally, I'll never be homeless. I'll always have money. And no matter what, I'm a money making machine. So once you start settling some things in your spirit and your mindset, then now you're not afraid to move forward and jump into different ventures. Because now no longer are you affected by what's the worst case, what can happen. Because honestly, if you think about it, most of the stuff that you think can happen ain't never gonna happen. Ain't never, not never gonna happen. But you've already formulated sometimes in your mind, oh, this is how it's gonna go. And it's like you ain't even got started yet, and you already figured out by the time you're done with it, people done got killed, the dog is dead. I mean, everything is already crumbled around you, and you ain't even got the gate yet. Ain't that about nothing? Your business has failed 5 times. Your husband's left you, your dog gone. I mean, you done formulated in your whole, and this is all just in your mind, what's going to happen. And so once all that happens in your mind, guess what you don't do? You don't act. You stand, and then you start making excuses on, well, this is why I'm not doing it. And this goes back to what I said is why it won't work. And then you formulate in your mind 50 different reasons on why this, well, it just won't work because of this, and this. But now when you're formulating in your mind what won't work, is that just from prior experience, from people you're talking to? Or is that just something that you've already envisioned within your mind before you even got started? Okay. Sometimes businesses aren't successful as they could be because before you really start, you've already failed. Because there's a point in your business to where you have to believe and see yourself where you want to be. Matter of fact, if you could, wherever you are, wherever you're watching this at, take a few minutes later and visualize yourself in a position that you really want to be in. I'll never forget, I used to visualize myself being in a big building on a top floor looking out the window. And I'll be doggone if that's not where I'm at now. I don't believe it's because I'm so smart. It's because if you can't see yourself there, you can't get there. Or it's going to be very difficult to get to a place that you can't see yourself being at. I saw myself traveling. I saw myself doing these things. And the key being is your mind, let me drop a nugget here. Your mind really doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's fake. Let's test a point. There's sometimes you can get caught up in a daydream. And that daydream can be so real that you lose track of the moment, the time that you're actually in because you get so into that thing. And so that lets me know the mind can take over and actually put you in places that you haven't even got to yet. I know some of you call it deja vu. I don't call it deja vu. I just call it vision, to where you can actually see something more so than other people. Most of you that are on this Zoom, you're seeing stuff that other people will never see. Nugget. Don't expect other people to see what you see. Don't expect other people to see what you see. There's no way that they can see it because remember, it wasn't even in there. Even your spouse. I know you can try to pitch it to them and do all these things, but there are some cases to where they're not going to see it. Now they have to just trust you. And oftentimes people trust you off past experience. And sometimes that can be difficult because your past experience has been you start, you stop, you start, you stop, you start, you stop. And now there's really no confidence in what you're trying to do next. Okay. What if it does work? Can you actually visualize it working out? Can you visualize yourself flying around the country? Can you visualize yourself doing all these speaking engagements? Can you visualize yourself in front of a group of people, telling them about all these great things? Have you actually sat back and said, man, if this works, I can retire my mom, I can retire my dad, I can do these different things, and start now setting your life up before you even get there. And before you know it, if you keep putting in the work and you stay committed to what you saw, then now you won't get distracted by what's happening. In most cases, we're distracted not at the end of it, we're distracted while we're getting there. And a lot of times that distraction is so minute, but we make it bigger than what it is. Okay. Some of you right now, money is one of your biggest things. I don't have enough money. I'm going to challenge you and say, it's not that you don't have enough resources, you just haven't been resourceful. That's the nugget. Write that down. Stop trying to worry about resources and start looking to be more resourceful. You have so much stuff at your hand, at your disposal, that you can use at any time, but it's going to be up to you to actually take advantage of all the resources that are available to you. Now, some of you, of course, you follow me a little bit, and so I do touch a little bit on some spiritual things. But if you really think about this from a standpoint of that, is almost to where now you can start now believing to see before you even get there. In other words, believing to see the goodness, believing to see things work out the way you intended it to. Matter of fact, start getting excited and almost upset when it doesn't work out the way you expected it to do. There's a situation that just happened with a business that something happened and actually shocked me. I was appalled that it didn't happen because in my mindset, it was already done. But for most people, it's like, oh, I knew it. It wasn't going to work. And blah, blah. And before you know it, you've already, once again, visualized it not working. So now, why be shocked that it didn't? I'm more shocked that, what do you mean it didn't work? Because in my mind, it was already done. And the cool thing is, we just resubmitted and made it work and just keep pushing it through. Because there's sometimes that is not that the no means no, it just means not right now. So maybe you have a timing issue more so than a thought issue of what you're trying to accomplish. Okay. So what if it does work? What if it does work, guys? That's I want you to start looking at it from another perspective. Now, next thing for those of you, and myself included, who will lose if you don't do it? Right now, real quick, if you're in my chat, if you're here, who will lose if you don't complete it? Who won't get what you intend to do for them? You know, I know for me, you know, my biggest thing was I wanted to get my mom a car. I wanted to get my mom a house. I wanted to get my mom to where I got her, I'm paying her a check every month from my actual business. That was just a personal thing. But what is it for you? Who's going to lose out on those things that you just in your mind, you might not even told them, but it was something that you visualized that I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to buy my kids their first home, or help them buy, should I say. I don't want to buy it. I want to help them buy their first homes. So you have to look at it from now, if I don't do these things, it now costs not just me, but the people that I want to take care of or I want to assist. Okay? Who would win? I gotta be honest, if you completed what you really had in your heart to do, right now I've been able to give out over 100,000 pounds of food and bless thousands and thousands and thousands of people with free food. They're winning because we stayed the course. Now, what if we didn't do it? What if we just decided that, oh, it was too big for us? I think at some point we have to ask ourselves now, who's losing, but also who's got a lot to gain by us accomplishing whatever that task is. To me, it doesn't matter what your goals are or what you're looking to accomplish. You got to put a tag behind it to see if I don't do it. Most times it's, well, I find more reasons why not to be active than I do about being active about what I should be doing, and consistency in staying the course in what you're doing. Now, I got to ask this question. It's a hard question, but it's a true question, because ultimately in your inactivity, a lot of this could be because of the people you're listening to. Maybe you're not in the right environment. Maybe you're in an environment of people that are comfortable. Maybe you're a 1099 worker trying to explain to W-2 people about what you're trying to do in the business world. I have scenarios now to where people literally, they are so stuck in their 9 to 5, which I don't believe there's nothing wrong with having a 9 to 5. Please let me clarify that. I do believe in entrepreneurship along with entrepreneurship. But if you're trying to give someone vision on business that do not or does not or hasn't had a business, you are almost putting yourself in harm's way, because they're not going to support you stepping out and doing something on your own. Think about this. Really, they are trying to protect you from yourself. I don't know if anybody's had this, but there are people that will literally have an intervention meeting. I think they're doing a little too much. They need to slow down, and we need to sit down and meet with them and let them know that they're losing their fan, whatever. And then before you know it, they're trying to help you, but in helping you, they're hurting you, because what they're really doing is they're enabling you to get comfortable. I forget being comfortable. Matter of fact, a lot of you, the biggest problem is you're being casual in your business, casual in your life. And as I've said before, being casual in those things brings and makes you a casualty. You don't want to be life's casualty. You don't want to be to the point to where now the things that you're trying to accomplish, they're being shot down and they're being canceled because of the people you're around. So if you really thought about your circle right now, and the people that are around you, are they business people? Even when it comes to, as talking to one of my people now about setting up a nonprofit, my biggest thing is going to be is, are they business people? Or are they just people that work a 9 to 5 and kind of going to stick in that mindset, because that could cripple the business doing anything above and beyond what they think could work for them. 2 reasons. One, sometimes people don't want to be outshined. Got to be careful there, because if you get the wrong people, they could cripple you because they don't want you to be better than them. Number 2 is because they've never tried it. They've never branched out, and they've been content to have what they have. And the sad thing is, what you really have, if it's not what you really want, is really just a seed still. It's not your harvest. Note here, or a quick nugget, is don't confuse your seed with your harvest. Don't get to the point to where you think what you have is your harvest. It might just be a seed. Some of my clients, their house, it was their harvest, they thought. But when this thing shifted, I showed them how their house was just another seed. And from that one house, they were able to pay off their debt, buy another house, and buy an investment property. Because once again, depending on who you're around, you could be crippled by staying comfortable in what you're in. These are important things on tonight. I do believe my heart's cry for you is be careful, because inactivity costs. Now, there might be a silent cost to it, but nevertheless, there is absolutely a cost of inactivity, or a cost of doing nothing. I'm going to advise you tonight, whatever your heart's desire is, write it down. Make sure you know exactly what you want, and then start going in that direction. Now, many of you, I'm going to challenge you on finding out what's actually business and what's a hobby, making sure that you separate the two, so that now you're not chasing something for the wrong reasons. There's some things in life, like right now, I have a nonprofit, which is you guys know it, it's a food pantry. That nonprofit, I make no money from. I will never take any money from, only because that's not what I built it for. I built it to make sure that, number one, we can feed people, but number two, I can employ people to continue to run that business. I never intend to run that business myself. I never intend to be out there every single 2 weeks or every week giving out food. I cannot do that. My schedule does not permit it. However, I wanted to build that to where now it can function without me and be something that can even help up to, my goal is 1 million people a year. Okay? So with that being said, we want to get to where we get around people that the mindset is different, because once again, if you get around a bunch of people, say, well, I'm just waiting. I don't know if you guys been hearing, I'm just waiting. Well, what are you waiting on? Unfortunately, there is a cost of waiting. There's a cost of inactivity. There's a cost of doing nothing. Just don't get caught to where you miss a move. Because I think Bill Gates said it the best, or maybe it was the other guy, Warren Buffett. When everybody else is running from the market, you should be running towards the market. When everybody else is not trying to do something, you have to really start looking at it now to see if there's something that we should do. Because remember, your greatest opportunity is not when everybody's doing it, is when very few people are doing it, because it makes you a commodity that's separate, single, and also unique enough to where now there's greater value in it when there's not a whole lot of you. All right. So with that being said, I kind of wanted to drop that on you, a little bombshell. Didn't want to go too in depth tonight. I know, like I said, we had a few people out because of schedule adjustments, but I wanted to make sure that we kind of dived in just a little bit. So now I want to do some questions, some answers, some thoughts. I know I got my girl on here, Delshana. So we're gonna have a conversation, and you guys are gonna get to listen in on it. So Delshana, jump on in. What
I'm here. I'm here.
what have any been things that maybe you can say have been reasons why certain things that you really, really want to do haven't been active, or have you activated everything? It's just a matter of trying to make it all flow.
I think I'm a combination. I think there are some things that haven't been active because I've been talking to the wrong people, quite frankly. And while I've got a gang of Dalshana supporters, they kind of support like my next step, but not my leap, if that makes sense. And as you are explaining that and expressing that tonight, I'm realizing where I'm hearing the support for a step, but I'm not hearing the support for the leap. Um,
Mm.
I think I have a lot of stuff out there. I've got a CD out there, got another CD pending. I've got, the flag making class, the flag training. I'm available, I'm accessible to folks. But I also think there's a disconnect with the people that I tell about what I'm doing versus the people who need me to help them do what I'm doing.
Mm.
So I don't know that from a marketing perspective, I've made that connection. Um, when I meet those people to be perfect, because I'll go back and go, oh my God, look at all this stuff she's been doing all this time. I'll have credibility, but I don't feel like I've connected with my audience, with my who. Um, so that's kind of like how I answer that question.
Okay. Because now when you look at just everything that you're doing, which is all great stuff, what is the part of you that you're vested in wholeheartedly? And what part of it is maybe things that you shouldn't be doing personally, but things that other people should be doing that you still want to get done, but just not you having to do it?
I think it's the marketing, honestly. I think that's my weakest area. It's not something I studied in school. I don't believe I've had to sell much of anything because what I've presented in my world and in my life has been either yes or no. There's no in between. Like, I work in child welfare. So either you agree with me, you keep your kid, or you disagree with me, and we got to find somebody else to do that. So it's been really cut and dry in my world. Even in mediation, either you're going to work this out or you're going to go see the judge. I haven't had to pick up the skill set of marketing.
Okay.
So to have somebody else just take that and run with it would be awesome. I do a lot of social media, a lot of posts, a lot of like, hey y'all, encouragement and that sort of thing. I could pass that on.
Okay. So sounds really you've seen it to where now you're on the flip side to where as I see you, you're more active in everything that you're doing, which is amazing because honestly, I don't know how you do it all. But then I guess people say the same thing about me. So it's kind of one of those things to where I believe it's a gift of grace to be able to accomplish multiple tasks, but also it can be a curse at points depending if everything we have in our heart that we try to do ourselves. And
Mhm.
that's kind of where I want to go with my next part of this is what part of what you're doing shouldn't you be doing in aspect of your actual businesses? Like right now, I mentioned about the nonprofit, my outreach center. I love feeding people, but right now, because of the other things I'm doing, it actually facilitates and helps that thing grow, but it's not something that I can be involved in because I have my hands in other things that are helping that thing become what it is. And so it's not my intent to ever lead that aspect that I'm out there putting away food. I can't do that. That's not where I'm at with that. But I wanted to set it up and put people in position to make that happen. What areas in your life or businesses, because you have a couple of them, should you actually be working in? And what are ones you should just be having delegated that someone else should be doing? That's more so not maybe what you should be doing, but it's still something that's a part of you, but maybe needs to be transferred to something or someone else that now they can do a better job of it. because you just don't have and I don't want
Right.
you to get it the wrong way, but I think we all have our own capacity to do what needs to be done. And sometimes we can exceed that and try and do more than we should do
Mhm.
because it's still something we want to get done. I don't know if that makes sense. I want to get
It
it done.
does make sense, and I struggle. I'm in the struggling stage right now because there is a shift that's taken place. I'm being pulled to the point where now I need to let go and let somebody else pick up pieces and parts. But it's also my first rodeo, and so inside of me, I want to be present for the first rodeo, and so I can see like, okay, I see what happened, where things could be improved, what to watch out for in the future, and then let them go and run with it. Um, but I also don't have the capacity for all of my first rodeos. And so I think, when it comes to the hands-on, um, when it's about building people, I think that's where I'm gifted and where I need to be focused in on, opposed to all the pieces that get the people to the building spot. That
Mm,
makes sense.
yeah, yeah. Because ultimately, I mean, and I know your heart is to do so many things, but now to streamline that on what you actually should be doing versus what other people should be accomplishing. And also getting you to that point, which I'm working with you on personally, is how to get those other things to become streams that
Mhm.
now you're not having to do it physically, but you're allowing someone else to do it, but you still get paid while they're doing it.
Absolutely. And I what is it? E-learning, getting the videos done. So now I don't have to be in class. I've already taught it one time. I taught it well, and you could just buy the video, hit play, and you got me.
Beautiful. And those are things what I call pretty much they are mailbox money to where,
Mhm.
and that's where most of my guys I'm pushing you towards now to get out of that mindset of you have to work like a Hebrew slave in order to make money. That is not a true concept. At least
No,
it doesn't work in this generation. It did work in the old generation, but in the new generation, money, believe it or not, is easier now to be made than ever before. Now it's just
that's
a
true.
matter of finding out what I should be doing versus what I shouldn't be doing. And then now, like I said, that inactivity sometimes becomes because the thing that we're doing really isn't what we should be doing. And
Mhm,
so now that thing kind of sits dormant.
mhm.
And then we move to the other things that we should be doing. But then we want to come back to the thing that we didn't do when realistically, maybe we should, excuse me, be doing it. Maybe it should be something that we should be asking for someone else to take the helm of. It's almost like I look at a lot of billionaires and they have CEOs over companies.
Right.
So now they're no longer in the mix of the company, but they still own the company. That's a different level of thought because once again, back in the old days of making money, you actually had to get in there and make it all make sense. But in the new ways of making money, you might not have to do that type of labor
Right.
anymore. You can actually now find people that will have a vision for what you have a vision for, and you can now help them and guide them in your vision so that their vision, and this is what we talked about a couple months ago, which was having a vision within a vision.
Mhm.
And so this is something I definitely am looking forward to working with you even more on because, like I said, everything that you're doing, we're going to see it come. But now we're going to start separating. I guess I'm stepping into my individual call. The people are benefiting now from another extra thing. But
Yes,
it's
they
for now
are.
we can actually see what is going to be needful for you to do, but also maybe what you shouldn't be doing. But it's good to know how to do, but allowing the other people the opportunity to get it done. 'Cause,
Yes.
well, here's a question for you, and this is something I'll ask you now: is being a solopreneur and being pretty much doing all these things yourself. How long can you keep this pace?
Oh, not long.
Yeah. And so, with that
Not
being
long at
said,
all.
we definitely want to make sure that we separate now what Delshana should be doing versus what we got to find other people to do those things and make them do it
Mhm.
well. I'll use myself as an example. Right now in my business, I do all these things, but when I really look at it personally, I don't do that many things other than just direct, guide, and put people in position and then back up and then allow them to do it. Actually,
Mhm.
you were a witness to one of the events that was on my heart to do, which was the retreat.
Oh, yes.
But
Yes, I was a witness.
I just showed up.
Yep. I witnessed that. I did witness that. I
And
did
so
witness that.
and we plugged the right people in,
Yeah.
and we allowed them to do what they do. And the people came, people were fed, all that good stuff. But I don't know if you witnessed that I didn't really do anything other than just
Yeah.
facilitate.
Mhm.
I wasn't in the kitchen. I wasn't in the try to get all of it.
Right.
In other words, I wasn't everywhere, but it was the vision I had, but it wasn't one that I knew I could carry out myself.
Mm.
Because remember, I came back from a week-long vacation to this event.
Yes, yes.
So what events and things have you been thinking about doing? But it's not that you do, is that you find other people to do it because that's their gifting.
Mhm.
And you just step into position. Because honestly, when you look at who you are, as I see you are, you're the most eloquent, a masterful speaker, motivator. You can bring the excitement. You can do all those things. You can do all the exciting and bring. So really, that's where no matter what you do, you're going to always engage people.
Mhm.
Now the key is getting all the components around you to where by the time you get there, you're not too tired to do what you should be doing.
Right. Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna jump off. I'm jumping. But with that being said, guys, yes, there's a cost to not doing something. We want to make sure we do what we should be doing and try to get away from the things that we shouldn't be. But at the same token, realizing that it's good to make those steps toward it and then get a good group of people around you. Get a team, get people around you that now, as you come up with these things, people can start now taking those things and carrying those things. And now you're just helping to facilitate because this goes back to now stepping up. And I think we had this the theme up there is it's time to go higher. There's a time that Moses walked with the people, but there's also a time that he had to walk above the people and realizing when does that shift have to happen for you and what do we have to do as leaders to allow it to happen. And that's something else for another day, right? It's tough that way. But thank you so much for being on tonight. I am definitely excited, oh my goodness, about what God is doing, how we're building, how we're growing, how we're becoming people. And I believe we're building agents of change. Because once again, we're not looking no more to just be a part of what's going on. We want to now be able to take over and take dominion over those things. So we're now, I'm going to put it in your matter of fact, I know it's me, you, and Delshana, you're on tonight. I want to put it in your heart and your mind that I don't want you going to be a part of anything else. I want you to dominate it and bring it all under subjection of what you're trying to do and allow the people to now work within the vision that God has given you. Step into your greatness, become what you've been called to do, and allow the other people to do what they've been called to do. Because in their greatness, they can do more with you than they can do by themselves. So just keep that in mind and make sure we're moving forward. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in on tonight. Thanks for being a part. You guys go be great. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Some good stuff that we're going to be hitting on next week also. I'm really excited about how we're going to change the game and start now taking dominion in our lives. And now not just going with the flow, but actually now creating a new flow that's going to flow things to you and your family and loved ones that will help you continue to be who I know you're called to be. All right. Be great, guys. Talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in.